This content is on self-efficacy, which relates to mindset, which we had in our previous content. So this is the work of a researcher named Alfred Bandura. So this is another one of those scales. So I'd like you to rate your agreement and write these down with each item below on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 meaning you strongly agree and 1 meaning you don't agree at all. So 5 means strong agreement. Number 1, I can always manage to solve difficult problems if I try hard enough. Number 2, if someone opposes me, I can find the means and ways to get what I want. Number 3, it is easy for me to stick to my aims and accomplish my goals. Number 4, I'm confident that I could deal efficiently with unexpected events. Number 5, thanks to my resourcefulness, I know how to handle unforeseen situations. Number 6, I can solve most problems if I invest the necessary effort. Number 7, I can remain calm when facing difficulties because I can rely on my coping abilities. Number 8, when I am confronted with a problem, I can usually find several solutions. Number 9, if I am in trouble, I can usually think of a solution. And number 10, I can usually handle whatever comes my way. So you should have a number from 1 to 5 for each of these, and so sum up all of your numbers and write that score down. You can pause this if you need a moment. And now scores nearer to 50 represent higher self-efficacy, which we'll talk about in a moment, and scores nearer to 10 represent lower self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is the belief that one will be able to determine and implement the right action to cope with situations that arise. So if you have high self-efficacy, you believe that you have or you can develop the ability to perform when you need to, and this will lead to better effort, persistence, and outcomes. And low self-efficacy believes that you don't have this ability. You aren't likely to be able to do what's needed, and so you might be discouraged and you might give up. So self-efficacy is believing that you can organize and execute actions to deal with situations, but it's not the same as outcome expectation, or believing that good things will occur, that the outcome is going to be good. Self-efficacy relates to your actions, not just an outcome. And it's not just confidence. Confidence is like believing in yourself in a general way, but self-efficacy specifically relates to believing in your capacity to develop the skills to achieve your goals. So you're not expecting magic in an outcome expectation. You're just brimming with confidence, but rather you're believing that you can develop the skills. So it's based on your action, and it's not just optimism. Optimism is this personality trait in which an individual comes to expect a good outcome in most situations. But self-efficacy relates to an expectation of one's capacity to generate the skills to deal with different situations, even if the outcome is bad. This is about how skillfully you can deal with the situation. So let's look at it this way. Once again, self-efficacy is defined here. So here's your person, and here, between yourself and the behavior are where your efficacy lies. So here is where you think that you can find the right skills to do the right thing. Outcome expectations, on the other hand, come at the end. You're going to be you're human, the situation has arisen, and you're going to do something, and then you're going to believe that it's going to come out well for you. So that's the difference. Efficacy believes in your own skills to do what's needed, and outcomes just pin everything onto what's going to emerge from the situation. So how do we get these efficacy beliefs? Well, first off, we have certain past experiences. So to quote Bandura, positive and negative experiences can influence the ability of an individual to perform a given task if one has performed well at a task previously. If that's the case, he or she is more likely to feel competent and perform well at a similarly associated task. So if you were in a small play as a young child and you performed well in it, you'll expect to do well in a bigger play when you're older. If you learned to read fairly easily and you had these successes, you'll probably continue to feel confident in your reading. It's similarly with sports. If you tended to do well with catching a ball or to be a fast runner, you're likely to expect to do well at similar tasks when you get older. So that's one way of developing self-efficacy. A second way is through vicarious experience. To quote Bandura, people can develop high or low self-efficacy through other people's performance. A person can watch another person perform and then compare their own competence with the other individual's competence. And this isn't even my favorite quote, but let's say you're to do a speech, and you have a friend who's to do a speech, and your friend is very nervous about this speech, and they get up on stage, and there they do okay. They're nervous, but they do okay. If that person can do it, then you can maybe do it too. That's the kind of thing we're looking at when we think about vicarious experiences. The third thing we can look at is verbal persuasion, and this is that wonderful encouragement and or unfortunately sometimes discouragement pertaining to an individual's performance or ability to perform. So you might ask yourself, do other people believe in you? Did your parents believe in you? Did they say, oh, you can do it? You've done things like this before and done fine with them. Or even if you failed earlier, like, well, look, you came back from that. Or, look at how hard you've worked since that failure. You'll do okay. And finally, we have physiological feedback, which is your own body. So you experience sensations in your body, and how you explain what this experience is can determine your beliefs of efficacy. So for example, a state of arousal when your heart is beating fast and you're nervous could relate to excitement, or it could relate to anxiety. And depending on how you explain that feeling to yourself, that can impact your eventual feelings of efficacy. So how do we change these efficacy expectations? Well, we can alter those things that we just discussed. If you generate performance accomplishments, how could you do it? You could get really good instruction. That would make it more likely that you'll succeed. Or you could have goals that are reasonable and attainable. Instead of deciding your first semester back in college to take 18 credits, maybe you'll start with 12 credits. Those are just some examples. You can create vicarious experience. You can watch someone doing the thing that you're nervous about doing. Or you can use symbolic modeling, performance of people in stories. Those hero stories can be beneficial. Or stories of someone who was in an oppressed situation and emerged from it. Those can give you the vicarious experience to enhance your own efficacy. You can seek verbal persuasion. You can get supportive people around you who believe in you. Don't glom onto those who put you down, but form relationships with those who support you. And sometimes nowadays, these can be nice in a virtual world. Like there are online groups to support you if you're not having that in your face-to-face world. And finally, you can moderate your emotional arousal. So you could change your attributions about your performance. That is, if you explain it differently, your emotion attached to it will be different as well. You can practice relaxation techniques like biofeedback, that is teaching your body to recognize clues and enhance the clues that are beneficial to you, or meditation, like a mindfulness that you're applying. And you can desensitize yourself by exposing yourself to a pressure setting without any bad thing happening. Like you can go onto that stage that you're nervous about for your speech and do that a number of times without doing anything scary on the stage. Then you can start to desensitize yourself. So that, in a nutshell, is what we mean by self-efficacy, and that is all I have for you here.